The die is cast and the gladiators are set to go on the political turf in Nigeria. On Mercurial Digital Television, we shall be bringing to you all the incisive interviews.
You know that Nigeria has been an oil-producing country, therefore they should sit and do nothing.
Reviews.
In PDP, but not now.
We must not underestimate, of course, the genuine grievances which movements have against society, against corrupt governance, for instance.
And previews.
You speak the truth, you die. You lie, you die.
Whatever goes wrong, I accept it. Whatever goes right, I take the glory. So I'm not shifting blames.
You don't want to miss. Only on Mercurial today. I am Collins Veshima. Well, you're welcome to another beautiful moment of broadcasting on Mercurial today. My name is Collins Veshima. On the show today, we shall be taking a look at some of the big issues trending in the polity. And on set with me is a presidential hopeful in the 2019 elections in Nigeria on the platform of Social Democratic Party. If you don't go away, you would get to meet with my guest pretty soon. So stay with me. We'll be right back after this break. You're welcome back. Like I said earlier, I have a guest on set with me, and he is a presidential aspirant on the platform of the Social Democratic Party for the 2019 general elections in Nigeria. He is a diplomat extraordinaire, a senator of the Republic, a technocrat, a playwright, and an African-American leadership think tank. I am talking about none than Ambassador Professor IYOR-WUESE. Hi, sir. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Collins, and Mercurial Television, and our viewers.
Why did you decide to run for the president of Nigeria in the 2019 general elections?
I, Ambassador IYOR-WUESE, have decided to run for the 2019 presidential election because I have no choice. I have watched with anger and despair Nigeria tottering on the verge of total collapse, a bleeding giant that needs to be saved. Nigerians are losing hope. There is so much anger and despair. And the consequence is as a result of a total leadership collapse. Our leaders are not leading. They are not giving Nigerians the kind of leadership that will make this country great. The leadership is selfish, it is ignorant, and it has total lack of concern for the welfare of Nigerians. Right now, there's so much insecurity in Nigeria. People are dying in their thousands, and the international community is not even paying attention, especially in the calamity taking place in the middle belt of Nigeria. Nigeria is home to two of the world's most brutal terrorist groups, the Boko Haram and the herdsmen terrorists. Nigeria today has the highest number of internally displaced people who are running around helplessly, hopelessly. They have lost everything in this country. They are citizens. The rest of the other citizens are not sleeping well either. There is poor infrastructure, poor concern for the welfare and security of the people, and the citizens are very angry. They are no better than slaves. There are people in this country, in the rural area, different ethnic groups, the Tiv, the ordinary Ijo fishermen, the Boro cattle rearers, the Kanuri children that are struggling with Boko Haram, the child at Ikerekiti who is dealing with serious issues of poverty, the Angas child or woman who cannot sleep because the Fulani headsmen are coming in the night to kill them, or the Igbo man or woman at Afipo who is afraid of being kidnapped. We have never had this bad, and if people like me say that because we are happy, we have been educated and we have occupied positions and therefore we will keep away, I do not think that Nigeria can become that great country we have all dreamed that it will be, and this is why I'm running for president.
You come from the Middle Belt, and the Middle Belt has never produced a democratically elected president. How then do you intend to become that president when demographically and economically you are disadvantaged in the north?
I think it is precisely because of that reason that Nigerians will support my candidature for president and elect me president in 2019. Nigeria has a spirit of accommodation, and that is the only reason why we have not broken apart. That is the only reason why Nigeria is still united today. Whenever Nigeria is pushed to the brink, Nigerians come together and find a solution. When June 12 was an issue, Abiola was denied the presidency that he won, and it was an opportunity to go back to civilian democracy. Nigerians rallied round the Yorubas, and President Olusegun Obasanjo was brought from prison and elected to be Nigeria's president. When there was a hue and cry and Nigerians became alarmed at the situation involving the wealth of the country, which was coming from the South, and the people of the South cried out, and Nigerians saw this. Nigerians rallied round them and made Goodluck Jonathan as president of Nigeria. Today something worse has happened. Never in this country have a people suffered egregious brutality and dehumanization and loss of human rights like the people of the Middle Belt. The Middle Belt comprises Muslim and non-Muslim ethnic minorities of the north. These minorities have been treated like slaves of Nigeria. They were actually slaves. It was from the Middle Belt that the transatlantic slave trade got their slaves. The same Middle Belt ethnic groups were also used for the slave trade across the Sahara. And that is why of the 600 linguistic groups in Nigeria, more than 400 come from Middle Belt. Different ethnic groups running away from being enslaved, from being killed, all kinds of wars, the jihad one of those wars. They came into the Middle Belt, they converted them or killed them or took them as slaves. The South Atlantic, the Atlantic slave trade, people came from the south and raided the Middle Belt and took slaves down to the south and sent them across. The Middle Belt has had more than its fair share. During colonialism, the Middle Belt was humiliated. The people of the Middle Belt were not given the opportunity to rule themselves. They were called the pagan tribes, not understanding that each of the ethnic groups in the Middle Belt had their own traditional religions, and these religions were accommodative of Islam and Christianity, and that is why they accepted. However, the British colonialists decided that they were pagan tribes, they were disposable tribes, and so they took them and made them to be subjugated under the Hausa Fulani Caliphate rule. Throughout the colonial rule, it was as if the British outsourced the indirect rule to another indirect rule. So the people of the Middle Belt never really got to rule their own people. But what was to happen? During the Depression of 1929 to 1939, the British colonial government most ruthlessly decided that Nigeria must pay for the British to get out of the Depression. And where were they going to find the slaves to do this? The Middle Belt people who were producing the cash crops. The cash crops that were sold so that the British Empire would get out of Depression. The Middle Belt saw hell. Tax raise everything people had. Their cows, their goats, their chicken, all taken away from them so that they will pay taxes. They worked very, very hard, back-breaking farm work to produce the cash crops, the groundnut pyramids, the beniseed, the cocoa, the different aspects of cashew and soya beans that were produced and are still being produced in the Middle Belt. These were the things that were taken by the British Empire, and they paid very little. But what was to come? The First World War, the Second World War, it was this pagan, so-called pagan tribes of the Middle Belt that came to fight for the British in the First and Second World War. And then, when they decided that they were going to have an infrastructure, a colonial infrastructure, the railway system in this country was constructed by people of the Middle Belt. The Niger Bridge, the Benue Bridge, a lot of lives were lost. And during the World Wars, one of the rarest commodity in the world at that time that was more rare and more valuable than oil was tin in the Jos Plateau. And who better? The slaves. Got people from the Middle Belt. They went and they got the tin at great cost to themselves, and they got nothing back. In fact, if you go to Boko today, there's a whole thousands of people, thief people that went to mine tin in the plateau were brought back with nothing, too old. They had cancer, they had tuberculosis from the unsanitary conditions, they died. The people of the Middle Belt have paid dearly, they've paid their dues for this country. It is time that that same conscience rises up again and considers that it is necessary, now that ethnic cleansing is taking place in the Middle Belt by Fulani herdsmen, that a Middle Belter should come and unite the people. Unite them by giving them justice, by giving all Nigerians freedom, by giving all the ethnic groups in this country equality. That is what we need. I, IYOR-WUESE, am aware that we can do better as a country, that we can be united, that we can be each other's keepers, as we have done in the past. And it is this that gives me confidence that the Fulani, the Hausa, the Yoruba, the Igbo ethnic groups of Nigeria, along with all the minorities of the North and South, would say enough is enough. It is time now for a Middle Belter to be President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I offer myself.
What are you bringing from your background as an educationist, considering that it is not a familiar thing to have scholars on Nigeria's plum seat as presidents?
I'm bringing to the presidency of Nigeria a new beginning. I have acquired experience as a legislator, as a senator, experience as a minister, that is in the executive, and experience as Nigeria's diplomat. In other words, I have both the insider and outsider experience of living in Nigeria and living outside Nigeria, of taking the pains of this country as a whole, as being the sovereign, as defendant of Nigeria abroad, and as a co-sufferer with fellow Nigerians of the conditions that make life here intolerable. I am bringing a sense of deep humility in my obsession and in my study of leadership, and being a trainer of leaders. I have chosen to be a servant. I have chosen to understand the problems that afflict my country, the problems that destroy us and divide us and prevent us from being a great country. These problems are ethnicity. I intend to make Nigeria belong to all Nigerians. I intend to make all of us become proud of being Nigerians before our ethnicity. We have seen how other people have utilized leadership. We look in vain to find a Kwame Nkrumah who taught Ghanaians first and foremost to think they were Africans before they were Ghanaians. We look in vain to find a Julius Nyerere who used the Ujamaa revolution to give a sense of togetherness to the people of Tanzania. We look in vain for a Nelson Mandela who, in spite of so much suffering, decided to be a servant and not give in to anger and despair, and was able to build a new republic in South Africa devoid of apartheid. I will be a good servant and a good custodian of Nigeria's resources. I will fight corruption, and I will fight religious extremism and religious bigotry.
When you become the president of Nigeria, how would you make the Nigerian youth compete competently with their counterparts globally so they are gainfully employed?
Thank you. Today we are the 7th largest populated country on earth. In 2050 we will be the 3rd most populous country on earth after China and India. We will have taken over and become more populated than the United States of America. And this country is failing woefully in providing the necessary infrastructure for the youth. When I become president, I will focus on education, because I know that with education you can take care of security. I also intend to provide the next generation of Nigerian youth the ability to compete with any other youth anywhere in the world by increasing investment in STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, with a P, philosophy. I will amend the STEM concept by adding an ethical quality so that we don't just produce scientists without morality, as is found in some of the Western countries. I will restructure Nigeria and give it a total sense of a Nigeria for everybody. Every Nigerian youth will know that he's a Nigerian and will carry the Nigerian flag and compete with every other country on earth with their flags, and Nigeria will be respected and honored.
Are you going to allow the free market forces to regulate the economy, or you are going to intervene in your presidency with a welfarist approach when you become the president of Nigeria?
My government will run an economy that will be centered on the people of Nigeria. I will run a government where the market will be persuaded to have a human heart and human feelings. As president, I will raise the standard of living of Nigeria. There will be a minimum level that a worker will take home to feel happy. To every Nigerian that desires education, we have the opportunity to go to school, from primary school to PhD. You will be facilitated. I will establish the education bank that will give loans to any Nigerian that wants to study to whatever level, because education has a very powerful effect on raising the standard of society. And I cannot run a society of a defeated, ignorant people. Nigeria today has the highest number of children not enrolled in the school system. We have 13 million Nigerian children not enrolled in the school system. This is horrifying. It's a shame. It's a disgrace. It is something that no Nigerian leader should have allowed it. By the time I take over next year, when the Nigerian people have fully, willingly elected and given me that mandate, I know that the figure may have risen to 14 million, but that will be the end. We will roll back this ignorance. We will roll it back and make Nigeria one of the most educated countries on earth. And we have every reason to say it so, because Nigerians that leave these shores excel educationally. They are the best. In Europe, in the UK, in the US, the statistics are there. Now why is that so? Because this ground, this Nigerian soil is not fertile enough. I intend to make it fertile. I'll make education matter. And that's why I want to be known as the education president, Professor IYOR-WUESE.
What would you want to be remembered for?
For the person, the president that finally made Nigeria great, where every citizen of Nigeria became equal, had equality, justice, and freedom.
Well, you heard from the horse's mouth. That was from Ambassador Professor IYOR-WUESE. He seeks to be Nigeria's president in the 2019 general elections on the platform of the Social Democratic Party. That's the much you can take on this. If you have a swell time with us, please keep a date with us for yet another very interesting edition of the program Mercurial Today. Once again, I am Collins Veshima, and bye for now. Mercurial Digital Television